You're stuck at 70 kilos and your lifts have stalled. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get past both of those problems. I want to caveat this by saying, if your body fat is too high, if you're not between 10 to 15% body fat, then this video is not for you. Your first goal is to get between 10 to 15% body fat, because if you follow this protocol now, you're just going to add more body fat and you're not going to get any stronger. So with that out of the way, if you're 10 to 15% body fat and you've been stuck at your weight for a while and your lifts are not moving, this is the first thing to do. First, you need to look at your nutrition. If your nutrition is not good, nothing else will work. If you're not recovering, then none of the other mechanisms will work. So first, we'll cover that. First, you need to work out what your calories are for a surplus. It's very easy to do. There's lots of calculators online, or there's lots of calculations you can use. But I will leave a link to a tool that I built that will tell you what calories you need and also a rough suggestion of foods. But calories is easy. The hard part is making sure that you're eating the right types of foods. I suggest mostly whole foods, because trust me, I've done it. I've bulked on crap and guess what? You just gain loads of fat and you don't get any stronger, because you can only get stronger and bigger from what you can digest. If you're eating loads of Doritos, loads of low quality ultra processed foods, then all you're doing is getting bloated and shitting it back out again. It's no good. End up not recovering from session to session. If you're watching this going, oh, well, I eat that and I recover pretty well, you're probably not training hard enough in your sessions. It's as simple as that. So my sources of carbs are mostly oats, potatoes and rice. Rice is one of my favorites. It's so easy to eat. It's so quick to make. You have a rice cooker. You can put the rice cooker on in the morning, boom, ready to go. If you've got a laborious job, you're a builder, you're whatever, you haven't got time, you're traveling, you're a driver, put it in a wide mouth flask, stays hot for 18 hours, easy. Bone broth, chicken, beef, whatever, peppers, mixed veg, throw that in the flask, wide mouth spoon, through there, done. Easy, 1,000 calories, just like that. And it's also very easy to eat. Main protein sources are eggs, beef and salmon. Now, you don't have to eat anything like me. Your protein sources can be different, but I'd suggest red meat being a big staple, lean red meat. Now, you've probably seen a lot of people say, oh, but red meat increases your risk of this, that and the other. If you're eating fatty red meat. So as long as it's lean cuts of red meat, you can go to the butcher's now and they'll give you steak mince. It's not that expensive. It's the same as you get it from Tesco, Sainsbury's, Aldi, whatever you want. It's almost exactly the same, maybe £1 difference. I follow a lot of the principles from Stan Efferding and his vertical diet. You can look into that. There's bigger and deeper reasons for that. Red meat is one of the most bioavailable foods you can possibly eat. If you don't like red meat, cool, that's fine. Go for something else. You have fattier meat options. You could go for chicken thighs. Again, make sure it's high quality. So if you can get it from the butchers, it will make a big difference. Anyone who says it doesn't is talking nonsense and has never done it. Or you can have really good quality sources of fish. Sardines, some white fish, but again, with white fish, chicken, lean chicken, it's less nutrient dense than, for example, lean beef, venison or lamb. Then as far as carbs, again, I quite like white rice. I don't mind oats, but the problem with oats, I find them very hard to eat. But a lot of people find them very easy to eat. So if you find them very easy to eat, then go for oats. My only suggestion would be with oats is to try and soak them overnight if you can, because it makes them a lot easier to digest. And you've probably noticed I have a big focus on digestion, and this is because it's going to be one of the bottlenecks of how much calories you can get in. There's something called a FODMAP, so you have high and low FODMAP foods. This basically means how well you can digest that food. So for example, onions would be a low FODMAP food because it's very difficult to digest. I'll put a list on screen. You don't have to follow this as gospel, just have a play around with it and find what foods you find easiest to digest. I suggest sticking between more 4 and 6 pieces of fruit per day, because you might find this really hard on your digestion if you have more than that. If you don't, go for it. You can have as much fruit as you want, as long as it's within your calories, within your macro. What I would say though, is make sure you're not having it as a snack. Make sure you're having it with your meals, so you've got time for your stomach to rest and digest the food. Because if you're having lots of food breaks in between, you'll find that you're not hungry for your next meal. Then with your carbs, you'll always hear me bang on about this, make the carbs more soluble. more liquidy. If they're more liquidy, it'll be far easier to eat. So much easier. That's why things like baked oats, where you leave it a little bit liquidy, is so much easier to eat. Adding bone broth to your rice, again, is so much easier to eat. I actually just had this, you can have there's like stock pots. Make sure they're ones with not like a lot of added shit in them, but to be honest with you, it doesn't matter, they're about 30 calories anyway. The stock pots, you can add that to your rice or your potatoes and mash it, or shakes. An easy shake you can do. This is one where if you've got a sensitive stomach, I would 100% avoid. Me personally, I can't have this, but I've got clients that can, and they have no problem with it. You get, say, 2 or 3 dates, 2 bananas, 50 grams of oats, 200 ml of milk, or slightly more depending on how much you want, 2 big teaspoons of cocoa powder, and you could add a couple of eggs or egg whites, or 2 scoops of protein powder. You've got about 1200 calories there in about 500 ml. Very easy to get in. It's a very easy breakfast to have, and also you're looking at about 20 grams of fiber in that as well, so there's another bonus to that. Cardio. So the way I like to do it is put 10 to 20 minute walks after every meal, and if you really sort of want to push it further, you could even push out to 30-minute walks if you want to. But the reason I say 10 to 20 minute walks after each meal is because it's not very daunting. So if I say to you, oh, you've got to do a 10-minute walk, of course, 10 minutes. But if I say to you, you've got to do an hour walk, then I can't be bothered to do this hour. It's way more daunting. So the likelihood of you doing it, if you've got to do 10 to 20 minute walks 3 times a day, you're way more likely to stick to this than you are an hour. Trust me, I've tested it with clients, myself and other training partners, is if you just spread them walks across the day, 9 times out of 10 you'll end up doing them. With the walks, I'd recommend trying to get into zone 2. So what this means is you're going into like a fast-paced walk, but you can still talk comfortably. Around there is zone 2. So make sure it's a fast-paced walk, don't dawdle. What you can do is on your Apple Watch or your wearable, set a reminder 3 times a day for that 20-minute walk, so you make sure you get it done. Because if you're someone who procrastinates with a little bit of ADHD or whatever you want to call it, you're going to end up forgetting, getting busy with work, and then not doing it. So try and set a reminder 3 times a day to end up doing that. And again, that's going to boost your hunger so you can get all those calories in to get past that 70 kilo body weight marker or whatever marker you're stuck at, to get past that. When you're consistent with this, it's a piece of piss. But when you're not, when you don't track it, you don't plan ahead, everything seems overwhelming and you end up giving up. But if you plan ahead, it's easy. Another thing I'd recommend with the food is just have 2 variations of days. So have a day A, day B with your food, or a rest day calories, a training day diet, rest day diet, whatever you want to call it. The reason being is because if you have to prep loads of different foods and you make it super overcomplicated, you're not going to stick to it. I've seen it. There's very few people that will stick to it. Maybe I've had a handful of clients that are either chefs or extremely good at cooking that will have something different every day. If you can stick to that, great, but most of you are not going to stick to that. So just have 2 variations of days. So 1, your fridge isn't fucking overflowing, and 2, you haven't got to spend hours in the kitchen. Then when you get to the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, they might be your days off, so you've got all day to do whatever you want, whether you want to cook your breakfast, lunch and dinner, or whatever it may be, you've got the time to do it. But when you're working 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours, you're not going to have time. That's my last point on food. Again, I've left a tool below that you can use to work out your food. Into the training. So, one of your biggest problems with the training is going to be overtraining. And I'm not talking about cardio, I'm talking about weight training. Cardio is not very taxing on the body. Weight training is. So make sure that you're not training more than 5 times a week, or weight training 5 times a week. Because I promise you, unless you're already benching 180 kilos, you're pressing the 60 kilo dumbbells, you're squatting 4 plates, then whatever you're doing is probably too much. And try and keep those sessions under 90 minutes. It's not gospel, like if you go over a little bit, it's fine, but a guideline roughly 90 minutes. Because if you don't recover, then you won't grow anyway. But also, if you're burning loads and loads of calories training, you're not gaining weight. You're constantly breaking that recovery cycle so that you can't progress in your lifts. I I'd recommend a 4-day split to start, lower, upper, and try and break those days up so that you're having rest days in between. And also you're spacing your uppers and your lowers 72 hours, so you've got enough recovery between. Simple as that. You don't have to follow that. If you want to do a 5-day, you could do lower, upper, and then an accessory day, or work on lagging muscle groups, for example, arms or whatever that may be. The training side of things pretty simple, to be honest with you. As much as you see all the different programs online, different types of, speed training or types of undulating periodization or this, that, the other types of training program. I mean, I listened to a lot of interviews with Colton Engelbert. So he recently had the biggest total of all time in powerlifting. One of the strongest people of all time. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous if you look at his lifts, especially considering I think he's at like 120, 130 kilo body weight, and he's totaled, so guys that maybe double his weight, he's actually totaled bigger than those guys. So he's got the biggest total of all time. But when he explained his program, it's very, very simple. He starts at high rep blocks and then slowly waves down in those blocks, tries to get big PBs on them high rep blocks, and then reduces the reps as the weeks go on. So his program, pretty simple, to be honest with you. Don't get too caught up in splits and program and stuff like that. As long as you're doing some strength periodization stuff and some sort of bodybuilding mixed together, so let's call it power building for the purpose of this video. Again, I shift more towards that sort of thing because you don't want to be all show no go. You want to be really strong and look fucking good as well. I will leave a sample program below for you, just a simple program you can use as well. Again, free, same as a tool, is free. All I ask is that you subscribe to this channel. It's pretty much a brand new channel, and you drop me a follow on Instagram as well. Couple simple things to make sure that you do, regardless of what split you're doing and what training program you do, is try to make at least 20 to 30% of your training barbell compound work, so you can get stronger at the lifts that transfer to the real world. You're not just strong on machines. And then the other 70 to 80% of your training or general bodybuilding stuff, so your machines, maybe your dumbbell work, stuff like that you build in the muscle. Then also make sure to keep your sessions under 7 exercises. If you start to go more than 7, this just has a constant knock-on effect on recovery, and you generally won't progress unless we're talking about small micro specific exercises. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.